Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with Star Wars, the Black Series, Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Master Dooku. Let's get into it! Let's start things off with a look at the packaging. And here on the top, nothing much, couple of pieces of tape and the peggy holder thingy. On the front, Star Wars the Black Series, nice big window showcasing the majority of the figure and his accessories, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, of which he is number 2 in this subline, Jedi Master Dooku. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. 4 and up. There's the assortment number Hasbro print there. On the bottom, small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. On this side, nothing on the top half. On the bottom half, the stripe from the front continues around to the side at an upward angle and around to the back. And at the very bottom, Star Wars the Black Series. On this side, we have some very nice artwork. Jedi Master Dooku, and I have to say it looks a lot like Christopher Lee. Same right here, because this is the same, it's just zoomed in a little bit. Star Wars the Black Series, Jedi Master Dooku. Before he became a dark side disciple, Count Dooku was once a Jedi Master who studied under Yoda, eventually training Padawan Qui-Gon Jinn in the ways of the Force. And there it is again in some other languages. Again, he's number 2 in Tales of the Jedi. Warning, attention, Octung, don't stick things in any language pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to babies. Attention, especially don't stick it in your French pie hole. Disney print, small fine legalese, made in China print, Hasbro print, and the stamped in number there. And that, my friends, completes our look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And let's take a look at the lightsaber blades first. Here we have a nice blue swish effect, but this is a smaller swish effect than, say, what the other packs have come with in this. This is the one from Kyle Katarn, so you can see how it's bigger and more swishy than this one, but this one has a cylindrical piece at the front and at the back, so it's like the blade's here and it's here. And so that's neat, and I think this is one of those that came in that San Diego Comic-Con Anakin and Obi-Wan duel at Mustafar pack. And it's got just a regular straight peg there, no ring or anything like that on it, so not bad. And it's a nice little piece. It's not quite as heavy as the larger pieces, so it may be a little bit better for display, but And then here's his regular blade. Again, just a straight peg at the end. It looks a little bent though. So there is that nice translucent blue for both of those. Next up, we have handy dandy tweezers to help us take a look at his lightsaber hilt. And other than this punch of color right here on the bottom, there is no paint apps on this. It does have a peg right there where you can store it on the figure, and I'll show you that in a moment. But other than that, it really looks like the one that's come with the previous Count Dooku, the Attack of the Clones Count Dooku. But I could be wrong. I haven't compared it that close, but I think if I was Hasbro, I probably would have done that. But this one may not have as much detail in it as the other, or it may have that much detail and it just doesn't look that way because no paint apps. So, but I think it's accurate to the media, but I could be wrong. There I go, putting tweezers up. We still need it. So here's his final accessory, the alternate head, where he's a little older and he's got a beard. And I'm going to say something about this, both of these heads later, and once you see it, you can unsee it, and you're all going to hate me. But I think they did pretty good on this one. The paint, you know, it looks like on the mustache there, they missed a little bit. This side's not as bad, just a very small amount. But the eyes are straight, the eyebrows are good. He's got that Dooku look on his face. And what I'm going to say about the likeness to it, it's going to apply to both of the heads. And once I tell you, you'll never be able to unsee it, and I apologize. But I will have to say, you know, it does have a pretty decent likeness to Christopher, I was going to say Reeve, but not Christopher Reeve. Christopher Lee, especially on the side view, and the same goes, you know, for that. That's unmistakably Christopher Lee there, and here a bit as well. But if you do that, and again, I apologize, but all I can see right there is Nicolas Cage's eyes. And then when I move that, I just see Nicolas Cage, and I can't unsee it, and I do apologize for those of you who now can't unsee Nicolas Cage when you look at this figure. But I think part of that is the head is just a little too wide. I don't think it's quite slender enough, at least in the face, and that, I don't want to say bloated look, but you know, that lends it to Nicolas Cage a little bit. So, but I do think it's a pretty decent likeness. It's still not as good as that Attack of the Clones Count Dooku. I still say that's probably the best looking figure in the entire Black series. But there is that. But same things I said about the other head apply to this one, except for the beard stuff. But he's got these long sideburns here. I do like the soft goods on this. It's got that pattern in it, and it looks really good, except for, you know, where they sewed it together. But it even continues around on the back, and I think they seamed that up pretty well, at least on the outside. On the inside, you know, they need some lessons in soft goods. And now most of this stuff, I'm not even sure how much of this has paint and how much of it's overlays. Like this is an overlay, and then this is an overlay over that, and then this is an overlay, and so I don't know. The legs, I think, are reused from the Attack of the Clones Count Dooku. The arms might be as well, but I don't think he had this extra sleeve on that one. So maybe it's that arm only retooled. I'm not 100% sure, but there it is. Now, let's talk about his articulation a little bit. And I'm moving this out of the way already, which I shouldn't be. So, he can look up, not very far at all. He can look down that far. He's got a little bit of chicken neck, not very much. Some waggle in there. He can do the full Exorcist, but watch the neck because it will move as well. And the neck, torso, and head are all three separate pieces. There he goes. He's got a little bit more chicken neck now. So there's that. At the shoulder, there is a butterfly. It goes back that far. It goes forward that far. Rotates around 360 degrees. And he can raise his arm up at the shoulder that high, which might be just slightly better than 90 degrees. I don't know. So there's that. Single hinge and swivel at the elbow, and it gives you that much bend. Rotates 360 degrees as well. Now, what leads me to believe these are maybe their older hands, but I think they're older arms, is they're hinged and not on that reverse Indiana Jones Adventure series ball joint and peg type deal. So, but he does get 360 degrees of rotation there, and it's on an in and out hinge. The other one is on an up and down hinge. So very cool. Nothing in the torso. At the waist, there's a half dumbbell or ball joint, whichever you want to call it. Gives him all kinds of hula. 360 degrees of rotation. He can lean left and right. He can lean back slightly. Forward just a slight bit more. And then the lower overlay here, it does have slits in the side so that it doesn't really hinder up the articulation too much. And he can give you that much of the splits. He kicks forward that far, which might be a little bit better than 90 degrees. Back that far, which is about the length of his own foot, maybe a little bit better than that. Cut at the upper thigh. And these may not be Dooku's legs then, because I don't know that he had that. Count Dooku, that is. I don't know that he had that cut at the thigh. But I'm not 100% sure this piece and this piece are matching. But and it doesn't matter. You can make your own determination. Single hinge and swivel at the knee. Rotates 360 degrees. Gives you that much bend. Not too bad for a single hinge knee. At the ankle, tilts down that far. Tilts up that far. And it does have a pin for rocker. Now I will have to say, for the most part, this does look like Christopher Lee. I just wish the head was just a tiny bit skinnier, so you didn't get that, glance at it and it's Nicolas Cage thing. So, as far as his storage goes, if he's not wearing, or if he's not using his lightsaber, there is a port right here on his belt, and the post on his lightsaber will fit right in there nicely. It stays on there pretty good. So there is that. And then, if he's holding it, then of course, you've got one blade that's not in use. And you pick a head and put it on him as far as to which era that he's doing. This is pre-Qui-Gon. This is when Qui-Gon is his Padawan. Oh, excuse me. That, my friends, is a look at the figure, his accessories, and limited storage. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have Star Wars The Black Series, Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Master Dooku, with Star Wars The Black Series Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Count Dooku. Star Wars The Black Series Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn from the Duel of the Fates 3-pack. And Star Wars The Black Series Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious. For our last set of comparisons, here we have Star Wars The Black Series, Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Master Dooku, with from the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee, from G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander, from Star Wars The Black Series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final ramblings on Star Wars The Black Series, Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Master Dooku, I have to say, out of all four of the figures in this wave, this is the one I was looking forward to the most. And my only real complaint with this figure is the face sculpt. It should have been just slightly more gaunt And instead it's not, and when you look at it certain ways, it just, Nicolas Cage will pop into your head. At least that's been my experience with it. Your mileage, of course, may vary, but now that I've mentioned it, it probably won't, and I do apologize again for putting that image in your head. I do like the smaller swish effect with this figure, and the reason that he comes with that smaller swish effect, of course, is because if you put it straight on, the larger swish will not fit his lightsaber because of that piece that juts out of the end. So that's why they gave him the shorter, or the less swishy version of that. But, you know, I'm glad to have another version of the swish effect that I can use, at least for blue lightsabers at this point. And I know that's probably originally came with the San Diego Comic-Con Anakin and Obi-Wan duel on Mustafar, and because there were several swish effects in there. But this one works for this figure, so no problems there. I like the soft goods. I like the look of the soft goods on the outside. Works very well. I like the pattern that it has on it. I don't know how that works, but it looks good, and I like it. I like the fact that he comes with two portraits, a younger unbearded one, and then a slightly older bearded one, to reflect both time periods that it showed him in Tales of the Jedi. And I probably think the bearded version is probably the one that I'm going to display him with. The swish effect on, the smaller swish effect doesn't seem to be quite as weighty as the larger swish effect, which, that makes logical sense. But this one, I feel like, doesn't weigh so much that it's going to cause the peg to bend or the port in the lightsaber handle to bend. I think this is actually, you could use it in a display without having to worry about it messing stuff up. But again, that's my opinion, and your mileage may vary. I probably won't put the swish effect into the display. It'll probably be just a straight blade, so that's how I'm gonna do it. But I like the colors on this one. I really think this fits a realistic view of what we saw in Tales of the Jedi, because it's slightly, the animation is kind of exaggerated on there because it's in the Clone Wars style, which is a little bit exaggerated in itself, but not quite so much as, say, Rebels. So there is that. But I'm not disappointed with this figure. I still think this is probably the best figure out of the four in the wave, which the other three were Kyle Katarn, Quinlan Voss, and Seventh Sister Inquisitor. And all really, really good figures, but I think this one is my favorite. But I still don't think it's taken away being the best Black Series figure from that Attack of the Clones Count Dooku. I still feel like that is the best looking figure in this line. But I'm glad to have this one in my collection. Now we need a Tales of the Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn. Just saying. That's what I would like. I don't really need a Tales of the Jedi Mace Windu. I've got, like 3 Mace Windus already. So I don't need any more Mace Windus. But another Qui-Gon would be welcome. The young, like, teenage one. That would be cool. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow. Or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.